In this video, I would like to talk about God. I will not only talk about God, I will show you God. You are probably doubtful. And that is fair enough. That is absolutely fair enough. Before I begin, I want to make sure that you understand that when I say I will talk about God, I'm not talking about religion. This talk has nothing to do with religion. So hopefully you will meet me with that understanding that I'm not a preacher. And I'm not talking about religion or any other belief system for that matter. First, I would like to ask you a question. Do you know God? Do you have expectations to God? Do you have some kind of ideas about what God ought to look like, ought to be like? Why do you have these expectations? If you do have these expectations, then they are an obstacle for you to connect with God. But I will show you God. Not even that. Not only that. Not only that. You do probably have expectations that God could do some kind of a miracle, or that God is almighty and can do any miracle. And that's true. There are no end to the amount of miracles that God can do. And I will show you God's miracles. So, firstly, God is not a he or a she. And God is not something sitting somewhere behind the scenes, pulling strings. A man with a great big white beard. If God was behind all this, that raises an unsolvable problem. Because if God is behind all this, who is then behind God? That is important to understand. This is a non-dual teaching. If you are impatient, you will not be able to meet God. So please now, close your eyes and relax. In a short while, I will tell you to open your eyes again. And when I do so, I will show you God. So now, open your eyes and look around. All that you see is God. God is existence itself. All that awakeness sees is God. So where are the miracles? Okay, I promised you that I would show you God's miracles. And Here it is. Do you see the miracle? In the flowers, it is actually quite easy to see the miracle. But actually, the miracle of God is everywhere. Everything is the miracle of God. Essence recognizing itself, awake to itself, seeing itself everywhere as everything. So the next time you stand in front of a mirror, look deep into your eyes. Let essence rediscover itself as the miracle it is. Miracles everywhere as everything. So the human mind complains when it hears this. Why all the suffering then? I will tell you. But when I tell you this, please be aware that the story I'm going to tell is what we could call an approximation. The story is not the truth. The truth. The story is meant to point you into a direction where essence rediscover itself. So don't grasp onto the concepts. Don't make the story into a new religion. Why all the suffering? Well, first of all, it is not your suffering. It is the suffering of the universe. It is existence suffering. It is the suffering of God. So join me on a little, what can we call it? A thought experiment. Let's call it that. Imagine imagine something that is almighty and all-powerful, omnipresent everywhere. No limits in any direction. Without actually any direction, without any form. Unlimited potential. Source. Essence. Unrestricted. The dilemma with this is that this unlimited potential is, so to speak, non-existent, because it is everything, everywhere, no limitations in any way. So this source of unlimited intelligence, consciousness, in order for it to experience anything, it has to limit itself. And the challenge of that is that the only way that this source can limit itself is to give up everything, is to relinquish the almightiness, the all-powerness, it has to let go of any kind of control, ability to control anything. And I mean absolutely anything. It cannot hold on to just a tiny bit of control, of ability to exert its almightiness. It has to let go of everything in order to experience anything. Boom. Big Bang. This unlimited potential released in a fraction of a millisecond. God has set itself free. But at the same time, God has relinquished the ability to control anything. And the universe was born. Then during billions of years, refinement. Survival of the fittest into more and more complex life forms. But everything has to find its own way. That is the love of God. For it is God itself as everything. Trying, so to speak, trying to find its way back to itself, experiencing everything. And I hope that you are able to understand that God has to let everything be as it is. God cannot interfere anywhere. If God were to interfere just one tiny little spot in the universe, then the result would be unlimited, what's it called? Injustice to all the other places where God did not interfere. So at that moment, love would be dead. So, and here the question then might be that why is that? Why does God has to interfere everywhere? Because the injustice would be if God were to interfere just one little spot, then God would have to interfere everywhere. And then if that was the case, then we would be all back to square one. So God has to let everything find its own way. And then refinement happens. Refinement of life. And suffering has a very big part to play in this refinement. For without suffering, the human being would just party all day long. And nothing wrong about partying, but there is not much learned. See, suffering is potential growth. Suffering is potential growth. Suffering is what pushes us forward. So that existence, life itself, comes to rediscover its own essence. But what I have just told you, don't make it into another belief system. And don't sit around and philosophize. I'm not sure I can believe in this. I'm not asking you to believe in this. Listen to it. Open-minded. Listen to it perhaps again. Several times. Suffering is growth. And that is why suffering is the love of God. That is what will bring us back home. And then there will be conscious, aware creation from then on. And the ability to see miracles everywhere. Think about that gift. The gift, the ability to see miracles everywhere. As everything. From essence to essence. Thank you for listening.